That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, my dudes, I have spent too much time over there on Patreon breaking down everybody else's Dynasty teams. I mean, I have gone through and honestly kind of neglected looking at my own Dynasty rosters over the past month or so. And the season's coming up. I mean, it's time for me to stop making excuses. It's time for me to go look at the teams I don't like. I need to offer some trades. I need to make some adjustments. So right now we are going to be looking at my worst Dynasty roster I own. Now we play in almost 20 Dynasty leagues at this point. So keep in mind, this is going to be a pretty bad team, but it's our worst out of 20. So cut me some slack here. I mean, I think it does show that we are being completely transparent in highlighting this video, talking about exactly how I'm going through trying to fix it. And this is something that I do literally every single day on Patreon. I'm sure 99% of y'all know this already, where we really want to make sure we are optimizing our Dynasty rosters for the league settings that we are in. We want to make sure that the construction actually makes sense with what we are trying to accomplish in the league. And this roster that I have right here is straight up disgusting. But of course, before we dive into it, guys, please go down there, drop that like, leave a comment telling me what you would do with this team. And at the end of the video, I'm going to go through with some real trades that I've already offered, and I'm going to highlight them. And y'all can tell me what you think about the trades. Tell me that nobody's ever going to accept them, and I will live and I will cry. But yeah, let's dive into it. And the first thing I want to address is going to be the league settings for this league. So this is going to be a 12-man Superflex league where this was a startup auction. So I'm sure that a lot of y'all actually watched this live on the channel earlier this offseason, where I believe this is the Flock 13, and this was a live auction. So the pressure was on. I don't want to make any excuses, but we were live streaming and we did not do a good job allocating our budget at all. I spent too early. We didn't necessarily get the values we wanted, and now we are stuck with this very bad roster. Also, tight end premium, and you start 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a few flexes, a quarterback, a super flex. You start 11 players total, so depth is definitely important. And now let's pull up our quarterback position right away. And honestly, this is, I don't want to say the strength of the roster, but it's pretty nice for a super flex league. I mean, we go through, we do have Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Tua Tagovailoa, and Zach Wilson. Now, a big thing with this team is, I mean, we also have Ben Roethlisberger. We have 5 starting quarterbacks, which, I mean, that is not how you attack a startup. That is not how you attack a Superflex league. I'm pretty sure we actually got caught bidding up Aaron Rodgers. I didn't necessarily want him, but we were trying to price enforce, and it kind of backfired. Obviously, this is not the best situation. And at the end of the video, we'll highlight some of the trades that we made. But yeah, a big thing here is, I think what we do with this quarterback room is, given this is a bad team, I think we need to kind of just play for 2022. I think if we kind of push all our chips in the middle based on the juggernaut that is Chinder's roster, I think we'll get crushed this upcoming season if we just try to go win now. So quarterbacks that I need to try to move away are going to be Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Ben Roethlisberger. Obviously, I'm not getting anything in trade for Ben Roethlisberger right now, though. But I've already made some trade offers trying to get rid of Rodgers, trying to get rid of Cousins, because if this is a team that we think is not going to be competitive in 2021, there is no point in having those players on our team. Now, maybe we have to wait until Rodgers is actually playing games, then we can get the value that we like for him. But those are definitely players that are win now assets. They don't fit this roster at all, and we're looking to sell. So now going over to running back, we have 2 3-down guys at the very top with Joe Mixon and Cam Akers. So Cam Akers was our most expensive piece that we ended up getting in this draft. Y'all know Cam Akers, my dynasty running back 4. He's someone that I think we do build this team around. I think that his long-term value is very safe based on the team investment, based on what we saw with his workload at the end of last year. And like we've already said so many times before, Cam Akers, he's younger than Travis Etienne. He's younger than Najee Harris. He's younger than Trey Sermon. He's younger than Michael Carter. I mean, it's ridiculous how young Cam Akers is. Now, with Joe Mixon, another trade piece that we have to get rid of, because you're looking at him and you're going, well, yeah, I mean, he is pretty young considering that he was actually drafted in the 2017 NFL draft class. But the problem with Joe Mixon is that this is a running back that really doesn't have the guaranteed money on his contract after this year. So for a team that's not going to be playing this year, Joe Mixon, not that valuable of an asset, because we know he's going to have a lot of production this season. And the last thing I need in this league is Joe Mixon giving me, just say, a mid running back 1 year. I don't necessarily see his dynasty value increase, and all of a sudden, he just made my rookie draft pick a lot worse without making my chances of winning the league any better. So yeah, I think Joe Mixon, another player that we're looking to trade away. And the depth here, I don't necessarily want to say too much about the depth. I think we're fine with the running backs that we have. Of course, I'd prefer bolstering it, but if this is a team that we're playing for the future in, depth is not going to be that important. So now going over to wide receiver, you're going to see that we have Michael Thomas, Stephon Diggs, Hollywood Brown, Brandon Cooks, Anthony Miller, Jalen Hurd, Miles Boykin, Darnell Mooney, Hunter Renfrow, and Gabriel Davis. So you're going to find out that, I have already sent out a lot of offers trying to get rid of Darnell Mooney and Gabriel Davis because neither player are really guys that I target in Dynasty at all. I actually think that both wide receivers are overrated in Dynasty leagues, but this was an auction draft. I thought that they were good values considering what we could potentially get for them in trade later on. So I believe we just picked them up for like $2 or $3 each. Fine with that. And of course, we're going to try to make those moves because both Darnell Mooney and Gabriel Davis, they have their fanboys. This is something JN, who's always in the premieres, says, and I think it's 100% true. If you have a player that comes from the waiver wire in Dynasty or in redraft leagues, I think in the following years, the fantasy community just has such fond memories of those players, and they're great guys to root for. You really want them to do well to a point where all of a sudden you actually see them getting overvalued, and that's when we're going to be looking to sell. And the number one thing that I hate about this roster is I don't think we are ready to contend right now. I don't think we have enough assets. I don't think we have the firepower. But if you look at all of our top end players, from Aaron Rodgers to Joe Mixon, now to our wide receivers with Michael Thomas and Stephon Diggs, this is another position where we have two guys that, they're not increasing in dynasty value anytime soon. I actually really like the value that you have on Michael Thomas. I think he's a great buy low candidate for a contending team, but this is a rebuilding team. He doesn't fit on it. So even though I like his value in a vacuum in dynasty, I don't think we're ready to contend. So for that reason, you're going to find at the end of the video, I've gone through and I've made some trade offers. Hollywood Brown, someone that I think we're actually just going to keep on the team, very young still, and at the same time, his dynasty value is down, where I don't necessarily think we can get anything we like for Hollywood Brown. And then Brandon Cooks down there in the flex. Cooks also someone that I'm offering around because, like I said, this was an auction league. So what you found is I wasn't the only team that went out there and spent too much money at the beginning, letting Chender come through and clean up the entire league. So with Brandon Cooks, he's someone that a lot of people can play in their flex spot. So I think we're actually going to be able to get something for him in trade. Now, going over to the tight end position, this is honestly the most embarrassing position in the entire league for me. And it's not because we don't have talent here, but it's because the roster construction behind it. I have no idea what I was doing here. I don't know why I thought these tight ends were such great values. But if we look into it right now, our top two guys are going to be Noah Fant and Dallas Goedert, which I really love building around. If those are my top two tight ends in a 12-team tight end premium league, I am perfectly fine with that. I'm actually very happy with that. But the problem is how many bench spots we are currently spending on the tight end position. It simply should not look like this. I need to be allocating more roster spots to running back. I need to be allocating more roster spots to wide receiver, because why am I rostering so many tight ends? This isn't a start two tight end format. This is horrible strategy. If you submitted this team to me on Patreon, I would literally be laughing at you in the podcast, telling you that you needed to fix this situation, which I think we do. And a lot of these guys, I think we're actually intriguing prospects coming into the NFL, and they're all still young. And this is why I went out there, and this is why I picked them up for dollars at the end of the draft. You got Ian Thomas in Carolina. Ian Thomas, a very appealing prospect, but at the same time, someone that has not done anything really in his NFL career. Dawson Knox, someone that I definitely want to keep on rostering. He is going into year 3. He played alongside DK Metcalf and AJ Brown at Ole Miss, so he never really got the production you'd want to see. Drew Sample, I don't know why you're actually getting this discount on him in tight end premium leagues, but I promise you, I guarantee you, if you were a part of one of our 10 Dynasty startups this offseason, or if you're going to be joining any of our Dynasty startups over there on Patreon going forward, you're going to find that I'm picking up Drew Sample at the end of every single draft, because Drew Sample, he is someone that played a decent amount of snaps last year as a second-year tight end, now going into year 3, and in a tight end premium format. I think that's kind of just I want to say free value. Now, the other guys where we went through Devin, Hakeem, Trey, and Foster Monroe. Foster Monroe, another guy that I really like. I mean, some of these players have intriguing profiles, but the problem is I don't know what I was doing. I mean, once you go through and once we have, I mean, just say Noah Fant, Jay Sternberger, Dawson Knox, Drew Sample, Dallas Goedert on the roster, we just need to be getting backup running backs. It doesn't matter what the value is looking like at tight end. So we actually have to make some cuts on this team, and I can almost guarantee you Foster Monroe, Trey Burton, Hakeem Butler, actually the second-year tight end out of New England, they're all going to be cut candidates. But that should be it for breaking down the roster. Now let's go through and let's look into some of the trades that I've actually sent out, and you can let me know how bad they are. You can let me know that they're never going to get done. But a big thing that we do when we think that we need to overhaul a dynasty team is we go through and send every single owner in the league a trade. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the best trade offer, but as long as it gets the point across in saying what I'm looking to do, what I'm trying to accomplish, and what we are trying to accomplish in this league is we are trying to get younger. We are trying to move those contending assets into rebuilding assets. So let's go through and let's highlight some of those deals. Okay, so we're going to be pulling up this first trade, and this one we sent over to Tankopotamus. And this is actually a very big trade offer where we went through, we looked at the 3 veteran assets that we had, the core assets in Aaron Rodgers, Stephon Diggs, Michael Thomas, and we just went out there with one mission, and that's to get younger. So we offered Rodgers, Diggs, and Thomas for Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow, and Juju Smith-Schuster. So essentially we're saying, hey, we'll give you the upgrade from Juju to Stephon Diggs, but you have to give us the upgrade from Aaron Rodgers to Joe Burrow and from Michael Thomas to Justin Jefferson. Now, this trade is probably just a little too large where you really ever see, at least in flock leagues, at least with people who really know what they're doing, trades this big go down where you're trading essentially your 3 best pieces for their 3 best pieces. I mean, that's a rare trade to see go through in a league. So I'd be surprised if that gets done. But I mean, at the very worst, we'll get a counter and maybe we can work from there. Okay, so now our next trade we sent over to Harperville. And this is another trade where, I mean, we went through, sent out a few pieces. So we offered Michael Thomas and Joe Mixon, and we essentially asked back DK Metcalf and a bunch of secondary pieces. So we wanted DK Metcalf, Ian Thomas, Elijah Moore, and Dwayne Eskridge. Now, I know this is adding another tight end to our team, but like I said, we're going to have to go through, we're going to have to make those cuts anyway. This is just a way that we can get younger, and maybe we lose out on some value right now. I know we'll lose out on a lot of points right now, but the long-term value, I think, will actually probably help our team considering the fact that, I mean, at least with DK Metcalf, you know that value is going to be stable and it can actually continue to go up. I know I have him as my dynasty wide receiver 1 for the time being, but the thing is with Metcalf, you're looking at the size-speed combination. You're looking at the production through the first 2 years in his NFL career, the fact that he's attached to Russell Wilson, and it's reasonable to see DK Metcalf taking another step up. I mean, what would happen to DK Metcalf's dynasty value if he finished as the wide receiver 1 overall this year, which I think is possible. So DK Metcalf, like going through and making that. Irv Smith, Elijah Moore, and Dwayne Eskridge, all players that I think are going to slightly increase in dynasty value from this offseason to the next. While Joe Mixon and Michael Thomas, while I like both of them in redraft formats, and while I think that they can be productive in 2021, it doesn't really matter how productive they are because you know their dynasty value is going down. Okay, so now our next trade. As we pull this up, I realize that there's essentially, I don't want to say no way this gets done, but I'd be very surprised if it does. So here we offer Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, Brandon Cooks, and Marlon Mack. So essentially the top pieces in the deal, we're giving you Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, and some depth because like I said, this team in particular definitely needs depth to play. I mean, you would have Brandon Cooks automatically in the flex spot for this roster. And we're asking back in return both A.J. Brown and Jamar Chase. So essentially we're going, hey, we'll make the lateral switch from Stephon Diggs to A.J. Brown. We'll give you Joe Mixon for Jamar Chase, and we'll also throw in Brandon Cooks and Marlon Mack just for the hell of it, just to get this done. And I don't necessarily need to explain this anymore. Obviously, A.J. Brown and Jamar Chase are both assets that should continue to rise in dynasty value. Even though I don't love Jamar Chase's current price point in dynasty, I think if we could pull this one off, I think that would be something that would be, I don't want to say ideal, but it would definitely just make the roster construction make a whole lot more sense for us. Okay, so now this last trade is the one that I am honestly really hoping comes through, and I think it has a decent shot to. And we offered Pristine Icon, Tua Tagovailoa, Gabriel Davis, and Darnell Mooney for Deshaun Watson. And I know a lot of people would actually probably go and just smash accept this. And I know that we're maybe making an initial offer a little too strong here. But I mean, I think Deshaun Watson is someone that is a prime trade target for a team like we have, where we go, okay, you know what? We're not going to be productive this year. So let's just go get a piece that may not score any points here. So our rookie pick will go a lot higher. We'll probably get the 101 if this trade goes through. And at the same time in 2022, when we're adding in those elite talents in the rookie draft class, we'll have Deshaun Watson, who, if we remember, before everything went down in Houston, he was a first-round startup pick. This is someone that, outside of Patrick Mahomes, nobody has been more consistent in the NFL in his top-end production at the quarterback position. And yeah, the situation in Houston is disgusting, but there have been reports as of late saying, hell, I mean, even Philadelphia would be a possible destination for Deshaun Watson once everything with the legal issues clear up. And like I said, whenever we bring up Deshaun Watson, I am not a lawyer. I am not a judge. I am just someone trying to score dynasty fantasy football points. I am just someone trying to maximize value on our roster. And I think he is a clear buy low candidate right now, because we know time and time again, we can look at so many historic examples. Look at Ben Roethlisberger. It doesn't matter. What the NFL does is the NFL goes out there, they tries to protect their players for right from wrong, and they want to make money at the end of the day. Deshaun Watson will make the NFL a lot of money if he does play. So I think they're going to do everything they can to make sure Watson is good to go. So I think he is a good buy low candidate in Dynasty, regardless of whatever your personal opinion is. Like I said, I don't necessarily have a strong stance. I just think he's a great Dynasty value if you look at the reward for the risk. Now, thank you, my dudes. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. And please let me know how bad this team is. Please go to the comment section. Let me know what you think of those trades, because I'm sure that you're going to be laughing at me with some of them. Tell me they're never going to get accepted. And yeah, let me know if y'all ever really see anything else like this on YouTube, because I'd be very surprised if anyone else is willing to show their worst Dynasty roster, show the exact trades that they're making in terms of trying to improve it. And yeah, I think this is probably a lot more useful, to be completely honest, than us going through and talking about my favorite buy low candidates, my favorite sell high candidates. So yeah, let me know what y'all think. And of course, we do these breakdowns every single day over there on Patreon. I do like 4 to 5 a day. That's what I spend the majority of my time doing, breaking down new members of the flock and your Dynasty teams. So if you've recently joined Patreon and you want your Dynasty team broken down, please shoot me that DM and I'd be happy to do it. Most of the time, we get those podcasts out the same day that you send me the team. At the very worst, I'll get it out to you the next day. But yeah, thank you again, my dudes. Have a great day, and I'll see y'all with the premiere tomorrow. We've gotten a ton of new members joining the flock. Thank you, Grind for Gold, Devin, Bungified, Brian, Brody, Victor, Chris, Grant, Trevor, and David. Thank you, my dudes.